everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month on a Monday. I like to bring authors into my home and we talk about books, reading, writing, life as an author. And tonight, Maria Henriksen is joining us. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. You know, the last time we did this was about 2 years ago when I first started doing these chats. It's been a long time.
It's been 3 years because
Has
it
it been
was
three?
during COVID.
Oh, my Lord.
It's been almost 3 years because I was the first person.
You were the first person that I had. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
Yep.
Wow. And since then, you have written another book,
Yes.
Not Again, The Fallout, which we're going to
Yep.
talk about. So congratulations on that. I'm excited
Thank
to
you.
hear more about it. Before we get started on that, I do want to say hi to a few people that are here. And tonight I am talking with Maria Henriksen. If you have any questions for her, go ahead and put them in the comments and I will get to as many as I can. But we have Karen Wright. She says hello. I know you know all of these people, but I'm going to put them up anyway. Here's Karen. And I know you know this person, Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
And another comment from Karen. Good to have you. So before we get talking, oh, wait a minute. Here's some more. Barbara's here. She says hello from Florida. Virgie Lane is here. She says hello. And we have a couple of Facebook users. I'm going to pop you up. You're in my group, which is private, but I do want to put you out there too. So hello. Thank you for joining us. If you pop over to my author page, I'll be able to see your name. It's just because you're in the group, it's private, and StreamYard is not showing me your name. So Maria, before we talk about your books, can you give us a little background on yourself and whatever you want to share with the rest of the world?
Okay. I'll tell you all my secrets.
Just a few of us.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a wife and a mother of boy-girl twins who are in college. They're both juniors and they both attend Pennsylvania colleges. So I don't actually see my kids that much except on certain holidays. They actually work usually down the shore. And they work in different states.
No.
So my son usually goes to actually goes to Wildwood Crest. He's a lifeguard. And my daughter goes to Delaware beaches. So and I just kind of hang out in Pennsylvania and maybe take a trek or two to the beaches to see them.
That's going to be hard when they're away like that.
It is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to talk about your books. The first book, Not Again. Now, when did that come out?
Not Again came out in August of 2019.
And then Not Again, The Fallout. This is the sequel.
Yes.
To Not Again. Will there be any more books in this series?
I don't know. I have not started any, but I've been toying with some ideas, so I'm not sure.
Never say never, right? I should have asked you this before we went live, but do you have copies of the books to hold up so you can see those beautiful covers?
Oh, you know what? I actually do have. I have one downstairs for the first book, but I forgot it. I wasn't thinking. Oh, I just had a fly in here. I haven't had a fly all day, and all of a sudden I have a fly. What?
I had a couple of those in here today too.
But this is the second book, and I kind of wanted to feature that anyway. But unfortunately,
I should have asked before we went live, and I thought, wait a minute, does she have copies of the book? I knew you had The Fallout, but let's start with Not Again. We'll just give a little background. Number one, what inspired this book? And then can you just give me a little background to the book without giving too much away?
Okay. So I wanted something to leave as a legacy, something that my children could feel proud of. I'm a substitute teacher. And although I enjoy my work very much, I don't feel like I left my mark. And I wanted to leave my mark. And I always wanted to write a novel, either that or be a tennis pro. But ironically, I didn't play tennis, so I didn't think that was going to work out. So I just thought, well, I'll just give it a shot. and I started writing it. And I'm one of those people that are called pantsers, and I just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
just started writing. I had no outline, nothing. And that's basically how I write. That's how I always wrote. And it just, evolved. And at first I was going to write something about more of like a memoir, but then I realized that I have a pretty boring life. So that didn't work out. That lasted about 5 minutes. So that's how Not Again came about. And it's Christian based. So there's a lot of inspiration in it in terms of basically having Jesus as the center of your life, but it's a coming of age type novel. So you see the growth that's involved with a teenager, and her name is Christina DeRosa. And you see how she matures and develops her faith, um, and her relationships with friends and boys. And it's a first person, so you really get into her head. So that's it in a nutshell.
And did anyone you know inspire this book? Was it based on anyone you know? Loosely,
Um,
lightly, heavily?
Kind of. My life was kind of a springboard for it. And to be honest, so there is definitely some truth in it. And then it just at one point just took a turn. And and then I kind of still used some things that I had experienced, but made it more entertaining and therefore more inspirational because of the ups and downs that the main character goes through.
Okay, and when you finished this book, sorry, Not Again, were you planning on there being a second book, or did that just kind of happen after you finished the first book?
That's a good question. So initially, I just wanted a one and done.
Been there.
But well, you probably know how that goes, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I realized at one point, I didn't know this. I didn't know anything about like how long books should be, how long a typical young adult book would be, and it's considered young adult because that's the main character. It revolves around Christina's life. And so here I ended up just writing and writing and writing and writing. And then I got to a point where my editor was like, you got to cut this off at some point because you kind of have like two different books here. And I was like, what? So I figured out the best way to cut it off. And then I realized I had a whole chunk for a sequel, but I kind of sat on it for like well over a year. Like, I don't know what I'm going to write. And then I finally sat down, and once I did, here and there, it did come together, and I really had a lot of gaps to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
But miraculously, it worked out with really not much editing.
Excellent. On your
Yeah.
second book, not much editing at all? Wow. Wish I could say that. I really do. Now, when it came to the Fallout, this is the same characters from book one, continued on into
Some are the same. There's a lot of the same, but there's also new ones that have been introduced.
Okay, now let me see that cover one more time for the Fallout. Now, hold it up. Your name's right above it. Let me see it. Beautiful cover. I love the colors. I love the font. Now, did you design this cover and the other one too?
The first one, I actually took the pictures for it. There's two pictures on the front cover. And I took them and I told the cover designer how to do the layout. And I told her what the color that I wanted to use. And I knew what the secondary color that I wanted, like the turquoise. And she did pick that. Now, the font is pretty much the only thing that I didn't pick out. That was something that the first cover designer actually came up with, and it's called Moments, but it uses I don't a special font, like an extension of it that she created, to make a nice title. And so I kind of like call it Maria's Moments.
Oh, there you go.
So it's very specialized. And then I figured, I would take that into the second book, with the sequel. And I also have it like at the headers, and I have my name in that font. And I use it. It's kind of like Harry Potter has its own font, Disney
Right.
has its own font, and I kind of use that in like as branding.
It's like a signature font.
Hmm?
A signature font.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think it's a neat font, So I can't take any credit for the font, but pretty much the rest of it I can for the first book. Although she did do the back cover herself. What she had originally, I didn't make sense, and I was like, you got to do something different. But then the second book, this, I actually found this cover, and then just continued to use the same font and came up with the tagline, turning trauma into triumph, because that's basically the whole series in a nutshell. And kept my name on the same spot, kind of like what you do with all your books with your series to keep it consistent.
Right.
And that's how it came about. And I like how I've seen books where the front and back match. They're like mirror images, so that's like what mine is as well. So this is the back.
When it came to the title, both titles, Not Again and Not Again, The Fallout, how did you come up with the titles?
I really grappled with it. Like I came up with the title, but then I was like, I don't know if I like it. And I was talking about it with like kind of like a mentor, and he said, I like it. He read the book, he thought that it was a great title. So I thought, okay, I'll go with it. So when you read the book, there's minor occurrences that happened a couple times that are similar. So they're the not agains.
Right.
Okay. But when I initially wrote the book, I had it extended out, but then I cut it off. So the real big not again is both books. Okay. It actually occurs in the second sequel. And there is a fallout, and that's all explained in the second book. It makes more sense when you read it as a sequel.
So you recommend reading Not Again first and then book 2. Don't go to book 2 right away. Read book 1 first to catch up, to find out what's going on. And in book 2, I know you said it talked about triumphs, but can you give us any more insight about the book? Again, not giving out too much.
Well, I mean, it's fine because, if you read the book description on Amazon, which happens to be completely different than what I have on the book cover on the back, which is weird, I know, but I do things my own way. So,
there you go.
But so the main character, Christina, had experiences a sexual assault. So it's basically her journey in trying to, combat all of the, trauma of that sexual assault. And, and it's, you're on edge. Is she going to tell anybody? Is she going to keep it a secret? That kind of a thing. And, how it affects her relationships, her family, boyfriends, that type of thing. So, and she's dealing with this while dealing with all the rest of the stuff that you deal with as a high school student too, all at the same time. So,
and it's said, sorry, go ahead.
People have asked me personally if, like they wonder, they actually thought, my relatives, I should say, my relatives thought that I was actually raped because when they read this story, and I said, do you think you would have known that? And I said, no, but other people told me that it's so spot on that they're surprised in a way that I was able to convey the feelings and emotions that someone experiences having been raped. I was sexually assaulted, but I was not raped. So I kind of like amped it up, figuring that, you know, using my imagination, how would I feel? So I had to, dig a little deep, with that. So the book obviously is not going to be for everyone and it can have triggers, but there is healing within the pages by reading both books or even just one of the books. There's scripture in it, and that's, my faith coming out in that, because when I read, a lot of times I want to have that foundation. I want to take that walk with Christ, and it's important to me because that's, such a big part of my life. And a lot of times I feel like a book could be so much better if that was incorporated. And then again, I know that there are people who are not believers, so that this is something that would totally turn them off. However, I do know people that aren't believers that have read it and said that the book was impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a word that they used to describe it, and also provocative, believe it or not. So,
but I mean, all books are not for everybody. I mean, my
right.
books are not for everybody, and it goes down, down all through the genres. We can't write to please everyone, and that's why there's so many genres. I don't read a lot of science fiction. I never read horror, but there's plenty of people that do. So, and as far as the religion goes with your books, I don't see us turning it off, because I'm not hugely religious, but I'm also not against it, and when it comes into the religion part, there's still the story around the religion. So even though I'm not highly religious, I still enjoy the story if I pick up a religious book. So with that, I think, you have a big reach, but we just cannot please everybody. We just can't. That's impossible. We would like to.
Right.
We would like
no
to.
matter what we do, right? We can't please everyone. But a lot of books today that say they're Christian or they're of a Christian worldview, believe it or not, they don't even mention Jesus. They don't mention God. They don't mention, they don't go to church, nothing. And I'm thinking, how is this a worldview? Because they're moral people. Well, of course you can be a moral person and not be a believer. There's people who are believers and, they might not even seem like they are, so, it's just, it's not down. It's not like I'm shoving it in your, down your throat with, the Christianity aspect, but it does show her journey, like I said, and it is part of the story, and you can understand how she's able to overcome all of those, trials that she goes through. And because the scripture that I weave into it applies to what she's going through. So
it gave her strength. She turned to her.
Yeah.
She turned to her beliefs, her religion, and it gave her strength, and that totally makes sense. It really does. I do want to pause for just a minute. I see more people are here, and also we have some questions for you. So you are on the hot seat tonight, my dear. Let me see. Let me scroll up a little bit, but I do want to put some comment too. Renee says here, it's another question, some comment. I connected with these books so much. This is going back to your sexual assault. So sorry that happened to you. I want to ask you while I'm getting some questions up. Was this therapy for you too, this book? Because you mentioned you were sexually assaulted, not raped, but was it therapy for you?
Oh, it was absolutely therapy for me.
Yeah. Okay, I could relate. with my books. That's why I asked, because I
Yeah.
didn't realize it would be at the time I started writing. But after I go, especially Reckless Beginnings, when I finished that book, I just felt like I just ripped off a whole ton of onion layers on me. I mean, it was just wow, for me, it was.
Yeah. Oh, I cried. I mean, it was very emotional for me. I even have a story where, like, forgiveness is part of a theme in both books, and I had an issue with one of my dearest friends, and we hadn't spoken in a while, like, years. And it was her 50th birthday, and our mutual friend of ours said, it's her big birthday. And I'm like, yeah. And I just got done reading over a section about forgiveness, and I was like, ah. So I felt convicted, and I just texted her, and then she responded, and so it was healing in that regard even. So there's a lot of different ways, not just on the sexual assault aspect, but with death, people have said that it can help people, um, you know, having lost a loved one. And I didn't even realize at the time when I was writing this that this is what was going to happen, because it really was inspired by God. And then after it was done, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I have here?
Yeah, it's amazing. Is it? I mean, I was amazed. Here's a question for you from Lori. She's asked, "Would you ever want to write a book with your host?" Moi?
With you.
That would be interesting. Wow.
I would love to, but I really feel like Tina's very good on her own and just can bang out those books, whereas it takes me forever just to get one out.
Come on, Maria. Time to come on. We got to do it.
Right. I'll catch you up.
I've not, I have never even thought about writing a book with somebody else. I don't know how. Nothing against you or anybody else. I just don't know if I could work with somebody else. For me, I don't know if it's a control issue. I'm gonna be completely honest, or just that I have, just a vision for the books I'm writing. But then again, the characters take over too. So, but I don't know if I would be able to write with somebody else. But you never say never, right?
Right. Well, I've been asked to write with a couple people, but nothing yet. So we'll see.
We'll see. I just don't know. I don't know. I'll never say never. I might give it a try. Here's one from Karen. She's asking, if you weren't a writer, what would you be doing?
I would still be a substitute teacher. I mean, it's what I was doing before, and it's still what I'm doing. I really have a heart for it. I love my job. It's not stressful. I have no issue going to work, even though I have to get up at the crack of dawn. But I love the students. I like the people I work with. I like learning because I'm in a constant learning environment. I like getting out of the house. I mean, I know a lot of people like being at home and they can just kind of piddle around at home and do whatever. But for me, that's, it's great just being able to get dressed and get out and engage with, teenagers, and then, teachers and faculty. It's, or, secretaries, what have you. So, I plan on doing it for as long as I can, subbing.
And you work full time?
I do. I'm a building sub at a high school. So every day that school is in session, I work. Today we didn't have school because of President's Day. The kids were off.
Okay. And so when do you write? You work full time at the school. Do you have a regular writing schedule, or you just, when you're in the mood, you write? Or do you try and schedule a writing session every day, every other day? How is it with your writing?
I haven't written much in a long time. I wrote a short story, and it was It's actually kind of funny. It was based on something that I observed at school. I couldn't believe it happened in front of me. And so it was totally inspired by what I had seen. And so it's only about 5,000 words. So I thought it would be easy to make it into a novella, but here it's just a short story. I mean, it's like super short. So that's all I've written. I've been considering toying with the idea of writing my own devotions and sharing them out. Like maybe in my group, other people have groups, that are like Christian based, where they like to have scripture and things like that. Um, and then again, I've been toying with the idea of having maybe like a novella or something to go along with the Not Again series, but it
Mhm.
might not be from the point of view of Christina.
Okay. Now, with your short story that you said that you witnessed, you could always put a collection of short stories together. That's what I'm
Yeah.
having coming out next. I got a collection of short stories coming out in a couple of months. That's
Oh, good.
yeah, and it's
When did you
related.
do that?
The last, well, my last book came out December 20th, and I wrote this one last month. So, so it's coming out in a couple of months. But
Okay.
this is the collection of short stories that are related to the Tammy Mello trilogy. And it's all the fishing, not all, but more fishing adventures that I didn't put in the book. And so that one's going to come out. And then I have a prequel to the Tammy Mello trilogy coming out in about 2 weeks. But you should think about doing a short story collection. I personally, if I don't have time to just sit down and get into a book, I love just picking up a book full of short stories and just reading a couple, and then going about my business. So short,
Yeah.
they were fun to write. It didn't take long to write. And I've talked to the people in my group before that my husband and we sat down and had so much fun reminiscing on these adventures. In fact, he's going to be on the cover of the book as co-author.
Really?
Oh yeah, because he jogged my memory and he reminded me of something in the event, or he brought up another story. Or remember when this happened? Remember? Oh yeah, we can put that in the book too. So yeah, he's definitely going to be a co-author.
Oh, I love
I
that.
mentioned it to the group. So yeah, and the group, a lot of them are here. I had a contest for the title because I couldn't think of a title for the book, for the short story collection, and it was Barbara Miller. I'm not sure if she's here, but she suggested the title. I can't remember Waves and Memories, and that's what I'm going to use. I think it's perfect. So yeah, it
Wow.
was a lot of fun doing that. Back to your books, though. I'm sorry. I want to. There's another question here. Hold on, I saw it. People, here it is. Where'd it go? Here it is. From Early, she's asking, when you write, is it music or silence when you're writing?
I like classical music.
Oh, okay. When you write, you have that in the background. That makes
When
sense.
I write, yes.
I like
Yes.
that.
I don't like music with lyrics. It throws me off.
I can. I'm a silence one, but I like the idea of classical music. My dad used to write with classical music, so I might give that one a try. I like that one. All right. Next we are going to hear you do a live read for us. I'm excited for that. Are you ready for that?
I am.
Yay! All right. I'm going to hand it over to you, and you take it away.
Okay. So I'm reading from Not Again the Fallout. And what I wanted to do is read the first paragraph of the prologue, and then I'll go from there and explain. So, the morning sunlight poured through my bedroom window as I sat in front of the mirror with great anticipation of the day ahead. I stared at my reflection, studying my features. I saw a 17-year-old young woman with long, curly, mahogany brown hair, a tanned face kissed by the summer sun, a mix of brown and green eyes with flecks of yellow, framed by long, thick, dark eyelashes, and a smile that had been bursting to make an appearance. So that's paragraph 1 of the prologue, and I wanted to read a message from me, and it's a prayer.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, I lift up each reader to you as they take a journey through the next chapter in Christina's life. Allow the pages speak to them, and may they feel uplifted by the scripture and inspirational messages. Let each reader see how you are faithful and will never forsake us. May each reader draw closer to you. I pray if anyone needs to be healed in any way, that the restoration will begin to take place while reading, not again the fallout. I ask all these things in your son's precious name. Amen. Maria.
Very nice.
Sure. And now I'm going to read the first chapter, just
That's
the
fine.
first chapter.
Take it away, my dear.
Can you hear me okay and see me okay?
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
seeing any comments where they can't hear you. You're doing great.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 1. Oh, and it looks like this. Okay. So it's little heart and the Moments font, the Maria Moments font.
Yay!
All right. It was time to say goodbye to my mom before I went off to college. Hugging her was like embracing a China doll, hard and cold. Bye, Mom, I said with reservation. Goodbye, Christina. Be careful. My mother pulled away from me as if I were toxic. I nodded and turned my full attention to my younger brother, who was entering his sophomore year in high school, and said, Bye, Jared. Later, he turned and glued himself to his video game. Guess he won't be missing me. Half jokingly, I said, Don't do anything I wouldn't do. What's the fun in that? Jared responded without looking up. My dad helped me load the car with everything deemed necessary to live on campus, courtesy of the list provided by the college in preparing for campus life. We headed out with my dad's favorite tunes of oldies playing on the radio. The first song was All I Have to Do Is Dream. I was dreaming of a time when love was lasting, promises were kept, and forever wasn't just a dream. Leaving the humdrum town of Pensford behind felt exhilarating. It was time for me to spread my wings and discover new and exciting adventures as I stepped into a life of limitless possibilities. I welcomed my freshman year with open arms while leaving the safety and security at home behind. With much eagerness and enthusiasm, I was on my way to Sylvania Ridge University, a medium-sized private school tucked away in small-town Pennsylvania. When we pulled up to Williams Hall, the all-girls dormitory where I was to live until sometime in May, the song Twist and Shout came on the radio. This reminded me of the movie Animal House, and I wondered if the fraternities would be anything like they were in the movie. Would there be wild parties with people in togas and an endless flow of alcohol available in every room and even out on the lawn? Reality struck when I grabbed a few bags and headed to the third floor. What, no elevator? I've got bags to carry up 3 flights of stairs. I reached the top of the stairwell and turned right. Ah, here it is. The door was ajar, so I walked in. A petite blonde with teased bangs, wearing cut-off shorts as short as she was, turned around. Hi, I'm Betty Lou Parks. You must be Christina DeRosa. Nice to meet you. Looks like we're going to be roommates, she said in the perkiest voice I've ever heard. I didn't know someone that small could talk so fast. Hi, Betty Lou. When my dad walked into the room, I introduced them. Dad, this is my roommate, Betty Lou. Nice to meet you, Betty Lou. My dad was the best, always outgoing and friendly to people. Nice to meet you too, Mr. DeRosa. Betty Lou turned away from my dad and looked in my direction, glancing over to the bed she was standing next to. I noticed that it was piled high with her belongings. This is my bed. She pointed to a closet, and that's my closet. After nodding in consent, my dad and I lugged all my stuff up every step and said our goodbyes. Pooch, your roommate seems nice, Dad whispered to me. Yeah, she does. All right, take care of yourself and call us once in a while, okay? He gave me a hopeful look. Okay, Dad. I stole my emotions so I wouldn't break down and cry in front of him. I love you, Pooch. His eyes were misty. I love you too, Dad. We hugged each other as a final goodbye, and my independence officially commenced once my father walked away, his footsteps seeming a bit heavier. Back in my room, I worked at sorting my things and putting them where I wanted them. As I finished putting clothes in drawers, Betty Lou said, "Hey, my brother and his friends are going out tonight to party. Want to come with us?" He's a junior and he said to invite my roommates. So what do you say? Sure. Sounds like fun. Since school didn't start for a few days, I wasn't worried about a late night out. Okay, cool. I'll let him know. We should see if our neighbors want to come too. Betty Lou bounced her way out of the room. I could still hear her bubbling voice from across the hall. A couple minutes later, Betty Lou bounded into her room with two girls. Christina, this is Nancy, a tall, slender girl with iron straight, jet black hair that fell on her shoulders waved. I wondered if she was fortunate enough to have mocha-colored skin year round. My attention focused when Betty Lou continued, gesturing toward the girl next to Nancy, who was a few inches shorter. And this is Jill. Hey, Jill said with an abrupt wave. Her light, wavy, long hair and porcelain skin contrasted with her roommates, but her looks did not fail in comparison, as she was equally stunning. Betty Lou, clearly in her element as ringleader, chimed in again. So we're all going out with my brother and his friends tonight. I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. When we went our separate ways to get ready for the party, dressing for both comfort and style, I put on my Sergio Valente jeans, a stylist purple shirt, rose blush, and purple eyeshadow, and short black boots. This is, by the way, in the 80s. Kind of failed to mention that. When the four of us gathered to leave, my nostrils and eyes twinged from the pungent smell of Betty Lou's sweet perfume. The second thing I noticed was Betty Lou's hair pulled over to the side in a high ponytail with a pink scrunchie. She wore an oversized pink shirt that hung to the left, leaving her left shoulder exposed, a jean mini skirt, chunky hoop earrings and bracelets, and had on lots of makeup, including thick eyeliner and blue mascara. Farm girl meets Cyndi Lauper. We met Betty Lou's brother in the lobby of our dorm. A few hours later, a super good-looking guy took the lead. Girls, this is Jeff and Caleb. Guys, meet the girls. Oh, yeah, and I'm Matt. My jaw dropped, and I may have been drooling when I gazed upon Big Brother's dark, wavy hair, sultry brown eyes, amazing tan, and most adorable dimples. Matt was hot. He reminded me of an older Joey wearing Levi's and a nice collared green shirt. His overall clean-cut appearance was totally my type. Don't even think about it, Christina. Not your perky roommate's brother. Hey, Caleb. Hey, Jeff, Betty Lou began, batting her eyelashes. I figured you two would be joining us. Betty Lou knows Matt's friends. She gestured towards me. This is my roommate, Christina. Then she motioned to Nancy, followed by Jill. This is Nancy and Jill. They're roommates across the hall from us. I followed Jeff's eyes to Nancy's pierced belly button. She was wearing a cropped blue, pink, yellow, and white horizontal striped top paired with white shorts that showed off her gorgeous bronze legs. She wore her hair straight down, parted to the side, her makeup natural, understated. Jeff then settled on Jill, who let her natural beauty shine through and adorned a pretty yellow loose blouse that went well with her long flowing golden locks, jeans, and brown fringe moccasins. Sweet, Caleb exclaimed as he checked us over, after which we all exchanged pleasantries. The guys led the way to my first college party. After walking for about 15 minutes and passing college students along our trek, we arrived at a large dilapidated house with large sections of chipped paint on the exterior. From the driveway, I could hear music thumping inside the walls. We were greeted by a guy standing outside collecting money. That'll be $2 each, ladies. What's the charge for? I asked, completely caught off guard by this statement. There was no mention of paying money to go to a party. Beer, all you can drink with this cup, he said as he held up the big red plastic cup. I questioned, but what if you don't drink? I held my stance. I didn't like beer, nor did I drink. The money collector gave me the once over. Hey, look, I'll let you slide, but shh. He held his finger up to his lips. Don't tell anyone. He winked and let me slide on through. How did everyone else know to bring money? Once inside, I was able to identify the music as Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name. While singing along in my head, Matt and his friends high-fived a bunch of guys. I sensed that there was something each of these guys had in common, but I couldn't put my finger on it yet. Without warning, Jeff dropped a drink in my hand and ran off. Here, hold this. I'll be right back. There were college students scattered throughout the house. Everyone held a red plastic cup filled with beer from the tap, including me now. A new song queued up. It was I Can't Wait by New Snooze. The music was loud but appropriate for a party. Most of the guys were dressed in t-shirts and jeans or shorts. As for the girls, it was a mixed assortment of mainly jeans, but some shorts, a few leggings, and mini skirts. The girls that wore the mini skirts tended to wear a lot of makeup and jewelry for their multiple piercings. While I was taking in my surroundings, Caleb started talking to me. He was average height, easy on the eyes, athletic build, and wore his shirt popped up at the collar paired with jeans. Based on appearance alone, I could see why Caleb and Matt were friends. Christina, right? Yeah, Caleb, right? I remembered his name because Betty Lou kept repeating it all on the way over. Perhaps it was her way to let us know she knew other students at Sylvania Ridge besides her brother and us. So why don't you drink? He gestured to the full cup I was holding, knowing it wasn't mine. I don't like the taste of beer, I replied, tucking a hair behind my ears. My dad let me try a sip of beer when I was 11, and it tasted disgusting. But that's not the only reason why I don't drink. I didn't feel like shouting the main reason, which was not wanting to take a chance of becoming an alcoholic. I learned in health class how anyone can become a victim of the disease. Our lengthy conversation was strained over the music that was playing Danger Zone from the Top Gun soundtrack when a soccer ball came flying in my direction. Since I didn't react quickly enough, the ball hit me and knocked the drink out of my hand, spraying the guy who had his back to me. He turned around and began screaming at me. What do you think you're doing, spilling your drink all over me? He called me all kinds of names. I resisted the urge to burst into tears. Caleb jumped in and grabbed the guy's shirt and told him to back off. Matt came running over to break up Caleb and the screamer. I wanted to crawl under a rock, even though it wasn't my fault. After Matt broke up a potential fight, he turned to me and asked, "You okay?" I nodded. Matt hollered to anyone in hearing distance, "What idiot kicked the soccer ball?" A random person yelled, "It was Smitty." "Be right back," Matt said and took off to another room. "You sure you're okay? That guy really laid into you," Caleb said with caring eyes. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied above normal speaking volume, as well as nodded so there wasn't any misunderstanding. That's the last time I'm holding someone's drink. Matt came back with a guy on his heels. "Apologize to the young lady," he said to the guy. With a sheepish look on his face, the culprit said to me, "Hey, I'm sorry. I hope you're okay." He did manage to look somewhat repentant, yet my inner sarcasm got the better of me. Someone went ballistic on me, but yeah, never better. "Yeah, I'm fine, thanks," I lied again. "I hope you'll forgive me." He took my hand. Why are they making such a big deal out of this? Totally. I withdrew my hand from his and turned away from his rancid breath. Matt started yelling toward the screamer who stood nearby. "Yo, you!" Screamer pointed to himself in a who me manner. "Yeah, you," Matt reiterated. "Come here." Screamer strode over. Matt was in his face. "Apologize to the young lady. You know that it wasn't her fault. You don't go screaming at people for an accident." What's with the young lady bit? It sounded so ridiculous. Hey, I'm sorry. No hard feelings? Screamer shifted from one foot to the other. Nah, I'm cool. Apparently, I'm cool. Must be why I'm shaking. I tried to shrug it off. Screamer left our circle and Matt explained, look, I'm really sorry. We have these parties here and we want people to feel welcomed and have a good time. I can't have these bozos messing things up for everyone. Matt joined Caleb and me, and the three of us chatted for a while. They told me how they had been roommates since freshman year and have been best friends ever since. Countless partiers popped in and out of our circle to greet the two friends. I met too many people to be able to remember each of their names, and half the time I couldn't even hear them. I simply nodded and smiled to the point that my cheeks started to hurt. One girl with teased, curly, shoulder-length brown hair, wearing bright, heavy makeup and gold jewelry, wrapped her arms around Matt and whispered in his ear. It was then I realized the girls I came with were nowhere in sight. That's odd. Usually girls stick together. I heard a scream, not a terrified or angry scream, but a playful scream followed by laughter and shouting, more like chanting. Matt abruptly fled our little group, leaving Glamour Girl resembling a character from the television series Dallas, looking dejected. The song changed to Walk This Way by Run DMC, and Caleb grabbed my hand and pushed through the crowd toward the merriment. Upon our arrival, we saw Betty Lou standing on the kitchen table dancing. The guys were chanting, dance, dance, dance. I cringed at the sight of her wild behavior. She was dancing like a stripper in a seedy club you see on TV. That's Matt's sister, Caleb said. Matt cuffed his hands around his mouth. Yo, Betty Lou, get down from there. The dancing and chanting continued. Caleb, help me get her down. Catch me, yelled the wannabe dancer. At the instance of Big Bro, Betty Lou stopped dancing and fell into Caleb's arms. Caleb dropped her like a hot potato. Perhaps he didn't want to experience the wrath of Big Brother. After Betty Lou's fits of laughter, she pounded on Big Brother's chest. You are such a party pooper. Matt responded, it's time to go home, Betty Lou. But I just got here. I can't come home. I can't go home. Class is starting in a couple days. She started to tear up and a pout puckered her full lips. I didn't mean home. I mean back to your dorm room, Matt explained. Oh, she giggled. After partying for hours, having to hold up Betty Lou all the way home was exhausting. The entire night was enough drama to last a lifetime.
Thank you so much. How is your voice?
What?
How is your voice? That was really good. That was really good. Thank you so much for reading to us. I got to ask you, I'm going to put some comments up from your reading, but what made you choose the 80s for the book?
Because I grew up at that time.
Oh, okay. And I love the 80s. I do. And the music that you mentioned brought straight back to that time era. I love it. I love that you put the music in there. But I want to put up some comments. Karen says, great reading, intriguing. Lori says, I love your reading. I love that you put so much enthusiasm into your reading, from Renee. Hold on. Here's one. Sounds good, from the group. And we have Darlene Johnson. I enjoyed it. Virgie Lane says, thank you for reading. There's a question up here. Where'd it go? Here we go. Karen wants to know, how long are your chapters? How many pages?
They vary. I have some that are like super, super short, and then others that could be 20 pages.
I like this one. It was really good. I enjoyed it. You had me going. Then there's a question. Ruth joined us. She has a question for you. She's saying, I'm sure you've helped people cope with life. What do you like to do to unwind?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I will just sit and read a book. Other times I'll just watch TV just to decompress. I do exercise, and I was hoping to do that today, but other things came up. And I actually like to exercise, so it's not like, oh, I have to exercise. It's like, woo, I get to exercise.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. And when you're
So,
reading, do you have favorite authors that you like to read?
I have authors that have influenced me, like Frank Peretti influenced me because he was probably the first Christian author that I read. I've been compared to John Green, and I think it's because of my realistic take on life. And he always, it's very realistic, but he's not a believer and he doesn't have that inspirational aspect. Um, so it's hard to say because I read a lot of different genres. I mean, I read your book. I thought that was your books are very easy. They flow well.
Oh, thank you.
They're not hard to, understand. Um, so, and I like how your story's based on your life. But
Well,
it
not
reads.
the, let's get one, not the steamy romances, just the Tammy Mallow series.
Yeah, yes.
Let's separate the
Yes.
two here.
Good clarification.
Yes, right. But yes, yeah. So, but with your books, Bambi has the question here. I think you might have answered a little bit earlier, but what inspired you to share your message through your novels?
I didn't know I had a message. It came to me while I wrote my novel. Like I just felt spirit led. I don't know how else to explain it. I had no idea what I was going to write until I wrote it. I didn't have writer's block. I'm a much better writer than I am speaker. um, so I have to qualify by saying that. And I actually think the book does pick up after this. The first chapter
Yeah, I
is
thought
just
the
kind of
chapter was
getting your
really
feet
good. I
wet.
enjoyed it. I like this the way you set the scene, you set the era, the characters. You're building, their personalities. I loved it, and everyone else did too. Don't knock it. It's perfect.
Thank
Seriously.
you.
No, don't knock it. But the other thing too, when you're writing these books, did you know how they're going to end before writing them? No. Do you have any
No
idea?
clue.
It just came at the end, of course. No.
I had no idea. I didn't know anything until I started typing it. Nothing.
And Bambi writes here too. She says that Frederick is great. I have I have both your books. I think I have both. I think I do, but I need to read them. I'm apologize for not read them yet, but I will get around to it. I promise. I promise. Um, when you're writing, how can I put this? When you're writing, is there like a favorite place you like to write at, or do you like move around? Because some people like one day write at the kitchen table, another time write on the couch, but you have to have a certain environment for you to start writing.
That's a good question. The first book, I had a desktop, so
Hmm.
I was bound to a certain area in my basement, and I pretty much just lived down there from 8 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning, and then got up at 6 and started my day.
Wow, that's dedication right there. And to
I don't do that anymore.
I wonder why you're not in the basement anymore.
No. In fact, I can't even get to my desk, and I don't have a desktop anymore. So, even stranger, I did get a laptop, and you can, it's portable, so you can, write anywhere in the house, what have you. But I took it a next step further, and I actually wrote the last of my novel, the sequel, on my phone.
You wrote the whole book on your phone.
The last part of it, like probably half of it. Yeah,
I have a hard time texting, let alone writing a book.
I know. It's weird.
Wow, no, I'm impressed because I hear other authors saying they write an entire book on a phone. And I just can't even fathom it because when I'm texting, I send it and then I see all the errors. No, I'm just terrible on my phone. I complain
Well,
about it all the time. I do.
I
So,
can't edit though on my phone. I have to use the computer.
yeah. Wow. No, I mean, my hat's off to you. I wish I could write on my phone because I would probably write a lot quicker. Because no, I have to be at home on my laptop. I don't take my laptop anywhere with me, so it's always at home on my laptop. And my phone's with me everywhere I go. And if I could, spend 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, writing on my phone, I would. But have you tried dictating?
No.
No, me neither. No, I did try it once, thinking better endings, and it didn't understand the bloody word I was saying. It was like, what the heck is all this crap? I didn't write that or say that, but they didn't understand my accent. So it's like,
Oh.
it won't work for me.
Well, I'm not a good speaker, so I wouldn't be able to put it in words. Like when when you call up for the hotline for something and they get a recording and they say, "What's your issue?" and I'm like, So I kind of like freeze. I'm terrible.
Is there a reason why you decided to write on the phone? Is it just because you're away from home and you had your
Yes.
phone with you? That was the only
Yes.
reason why? You weren't at home writing on your phone.
No, pretty much if I was at home, I would use the laptop, but when I wasn't home, I could sneak in things here and there and work on it. Yeah.
Do you think you'll write your next book on your phone?
Oh, I wrote the short story on my phone.
Wow.
Like, I mean, that was like nothing.
Damn. All right, you go, girl. Wow, you got me on that one. Here's some questions for you. Did you interview others that have been sexually assaulted before you wrote your books? Nope.
No.
No. Okay. Another question. I want to go through and get some questions for you. Did you have the characters first then?
I don't
I don't understand that one,
understand.
Bambi. Did you have the characters first? Bambi, are you still here? Can you clarify that question for us?
I
Laura,
think I know what she
you do?
means.
Okay, I'll let you decipher it unless Bambi wants to come up back. Do you know what she means?
I think. I actually didn't have anything planned. I had no idea who the characters were going to be. I actually changed the names like a million times. Not Christina's name though. Oh, and this is a weird thing. So I don't know why, but I have this thing about unisex names. Like they confuse me. Is it a guy? Is it a girl? And here, my main character's name is Avery. I didn't even know that was like a girl's name too. So I kind of was like, what? Because now everybody I meet that's an Avery is a girl.
That's what I
And
thought it
then,
was a girl.
huh?
I thought it was a girl's name.
Yeah, no, it's a guy. So so I'm like, oh, I can't believe I did that. But I like the name. I think the name's
I like
nice.
the name too, but
Yeah.
nowadays I don't think it's an issue. To be honest, I'm not going there. I'm not going down that road, but
No.
that's all I'm saying. Lori says, "Who's your favorite character in Not Again the Fallout?"
Not again the Fallout. I don't know. I can't. I nothing's coming to
Okay.
me. Maybe Avery.
Avery. Okay.
Who's the guy?
He's a guy. He's a guy. And Laurie clarified that too. See, Avery is a guy. Thank you, Laurie. We're going to be wrapping up this soon. Time goes by so quickly here, but I always want to ask an author the final question, and that is, what advice would you give to an aspiring writer that wants to publish a book?
That they just want to write it. They haven't written anything yet.
Oh, they're probably writing it. They want to publish it. Or they might want to start writing a book. Could be either or. But what advice would you give them?
Well, I would say don't give up on your dreams. Make sure that you get a professional editor. I would not do just self edits. That drives me crazy when people just edit their own stuff and don't have anyone else to look at it. I also think that you should have beta readers. I think that's important just to make sure that it makes sense and, there's a good character development and so forth. That kind of a thing. But as terms of, what path to take, whether it be self-publishing or traditional publishing or hybrid, I think that is such an individual, decision, and it depends on the actual genre, I think. But I definitely see the way for self-publishing, and I know that you were traditionally published at one point and then decided you were going to take
Never again for me.
yeah.
But that's my choice. Everyone has their own decisions, and if some traditional publishers will work for some authors. For me, it did not work, and I know my reason why. It's control. I didn't have control of my book; the publisher did, and that just irked me. So after my contract was up, I'm like, no, I wrote these books. I put all the sweat and tears into it, and your royalties suck, pretty much. And I said no, and I decided to self-publish, and for me, it works. But it's not saying that traditional publishing doesn't work for somebody else. It all depends on what you want, from your book, and whether you want 100% control of it. Because if you go with a traditional publisher, you don't have control of your book.
Right. But you do have the upfront expenses, to pay for the cover, and if
You do. But for me, I mean, I love to write, of course, and I am doing this for a paycheck. And for me, money was important versus what a traditional publisher paid me compared to what I get being self-published is like night and day. What I got from my traditional publisher, I get for 1 month from Amazon, and I get a check once a year from the publisher. So why would I want to go back to that route? So I mean, it works. Depends on each author how what you want out of your publishing deals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you self-publish and it works for you.
Right. My nonfiction, I didn't self-publish though, because I was a contributor to, a book of devotion. So that was different. And it was nice to have somebody figure out the cover and the formatting and all of that. I didn't have to worry about any of that and, and get paid up front, so I don't have those expenses. But I for my fiction books, yeah, I want to have that control. I'm with you on that. And I think sometimes people don't think their books are good enough to go to traditional publishers, and that wasn't my thought for my personal book.
People would think that because
I've heard people, I don't know, but I don't think that's not the right way to go into it.
No, it's not. You got to have, a good attitude, positive attitude, and you got to get their attention. So, but Maria, this has been great. This really has. I do want to mention real quick that you are doing a giveaway.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. And what are you giving away?
I was gonna have that ready too. Probably like a bookmark or a magnet. It can be someone's choice. If everybody that has been up that you've read, they have followed me in the past, so they know what my swag looks like.
Right.
And and I would let them have a choice as to what it is that they want, provided that they're in the contiguous US.
Got it. And you're gonna pick the winner, so I'll let you do that after our live chat. And if you wouldn't mind announcing it in the group.
Oh, sure.
And you'll be able to do it tonight. So I usually do it around 8:00. So would you be able to do it tonight?
Oh, your 8:00.
My 8:00, which is 2 hours from now. You can do it before if you want. It's entirely up to you, but I usually just announce it the same night as the chat.
Okay, well, I'll
Is
do
that
my
good?
best to announce it in your group. I can do that.
Yay! And then once it's announced, I'll go ahead and copy it and put it on my author page too. So
Oh, okay.
is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is I'm doing my regular giveaway, which is a $5 Amazon gift card. And readers, you probably know how to do this. You go over to my author page and you share this video and you tag me. You share it in your favorite groups. You can share it on your wall. You can share it with your friends. And if you do that and you tag me to see that you shared, I will put you in the drawing for $5. There we go. Maria, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. And we're waiting for the next book.
With bated breath, right? Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. And everyone, have a good night. Bye.